It's like, yeah, there's a lot of fog right now in the industry, but it's messages like that where it's like, I'm hearing designers get jobs. I'm hearing junior designers get jobs. I'm hearing multiple designers kind of figuring out what opportunities make sense for them. So that's really like, I love that. My God, like your content has helped me so much. I got one the other day. It's like, I really genuinely felt like you wrote this article for me. I needed this so much right now. I'm feeling so stuck in my career and my job because of X, Y, and Z. And I just wanted to thank you. It's those type of, I have goosebumps right now thinking about it.
The team measures UX success solely by how much stakeholders like the visual design.
Jail, absolute jail. That's just right. It's like, oh, stakeholders love it. Great. Okay.
Welcome everyone to the final episode of the season for Modus Operandi with Miranda Slayter. And Miranda, today is going to be something different. Before I give you the chance to say anything, I think we've had a lot of episodes together, a lot of great content that comes in there. And I think the reason why I wanted to go on a different route today, I think me and you really do dissect a lot what's happening in the field, but you know, it is a lot of bad things. You know, it's a lot. We point out a lot of bad things, but there's also a bit of sunshine I do want to bring to people who do listen to Modus Operandi. So I'm going to go down a different route. So what's your thoughts about this?
Okay, love it. Love the angle. I will say, I think a lot of our topics have reflected what a lot of people feel in the industry. So whether it is a bit of negative, I feel like hopefully there's some relatable topics and stuff. I meant to mention as well, I got a message the other day on LinkedIn, and it was a designer who was just thanking us so much for just kind of having like a no sugarcoating take. They're like, of all the content I consume online, he's like, I've watched all your podcasts. And he's like, I love it. He's like, I love the point of view. So I think it's really catching on like that, which I love to hear because that's the type of take I want people to kind of get from this.
Yeah. No, I think I went down, I said the wrong thing. It's not really negative. I think it's, as you mentioned, we don't sugarcoat it, and we do bring out a lot what's happening in the industry, a lot of not bad stuff, but stuff that just needs to be refined and better analyzed from a business perspective. And I think that's why, like, I really wanted to just keep it very, very real, and not very, very real, but I don't know. I want to see if there's any kind of brightness to the UX. Now let me paint the picture.
Please do.
Let me paint the picture. We met last year on the 22nd of August, and I document all this stuff because when we have pre-meetings for the podcast and when we do actually conduct the podcast, we document all this stuff. So we met last year on the 22nd of October, 2024. And I wanted to get your take. In that time, it was near enough coming up to a year now. In that time, have you seen any improvements on our design field from your perspective?
You know what? Design field, massive. Number one.
Massive, yeah.
So big. But what I will say is kind of through all of the job market kind of being the way that it's been, the AI, the panic around that, the tooling, the Figma coming out with all new things and people panicking over that. I will say I very much regularly get messages on the side that say, hey, I have these deals on the table. I have multiple job offerings and I would love your help trying to figure out which one makes sense. Or I've heard junior designers or apprentice designers getting and landing jobs in the UK, in fact. And then I think the other thing is I've been seeing a lot more content. Generally, maybe it's because I'm making more of it. I don't know, algorithms. But a lot of designers are talking about a lot more than just Figma and tools and flashy, designy kind of dribble effect that, you and I have talked about. So a lot more strategic, a lot more about communication skills and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's a part of feeding my own algorithm of what I see, but I know for a fact the first one, that's what always kind of keeps me hanging on. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of fog right now in the industry, but it's messages like that where it's like, I'm hearing designers get jobs. I'm hearing junior designers get jobs. I'm hearing multiple designers kind of figuring out what opportunities make sense for them. So that's really like, I love that. And I have to keep
Yeah.
reminding myself of that, that I'm only seeing like obviously such a little piece of it. But then, yeah, hearing the industry talk a lot more about communication knowledge, being a strategic designer, flexing your influence beyond visuals. Yes, I think I have seen a bit of improvement, but I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I think it's as you mentioned, the fact that a lot more people are not talking about Figma and showing all this crazy stuff, but I have seen that it has opened up the opportunities for people to do more since we spoke in August. You know, there's a lot more tools that can do a lot more stuff, and then there's a lot more what designers can bring to the table, which I think is coming to fruition. And you just mentioned something which I think is important. What I think we should change, that strategic designer. I like that job title. And I think that's what I've seen a lot of people, as you just mentioned, they're focusing more now on how to position design more strategically than from an executional aspect. Not greatly. I think we're still far away from getting
Early
everyone
days.
away. Yeah, we're still in the early days, but I've seen a lot of people in that mid level, or what I would say senior to mid level, who have seen that being more strategic and not speaking business language, that's so far off, but being a bit more strategic in design that's what I've seen a lot change, Uh,
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a little bit more, at least some of the stuff that comes my way is designers are seeking a little bit more. They're kind of hitting that glass ceiling that we've talked about so many times. You can only get so far being a good visual designer. And they're
mhm,
like, what happened? What do we do next? And seeking that and seeking more than just kind of sitting there and accepting the reality
yeah.
that is the visual side. And then a little bit more from the more experienced designers like myself, kind of sharing more of that side of the work and the job. So I think both absolutely beneficial to the whole industry.
Miranda, I want to ask you something, and this is something that's been plaguing my mind for a long time. Now, stop me if I've asked you this before. But when you have to learn how to drive a car, stop me if I've at any point if I've said this before. If you have to learn to teach somebody how to drive a car, you have to go through a course, and that course is certified, and you can't just go, oh yeah, I've watched something for 3 months, and now I am a driving instructor. You have to basically make sure that you're following the things. Then you have to do a test to make sure that you're qualified enough in order
Hmm. Hmm.
to teach people. Now, I've really struggled with, and actually reached out to Jacob Nilsson about this, and he also mentioned to me that there should be a governance body on making sure these boot camps that are being created are meeting certain requirements to then say, yes, you are certified in order to teach people. Why has nobody not done this? Because he didn't, and this is Jacob Nilsson. He had no answer for me. He said, Naz,
Yeah.
I don't know why I have not thought about this at all. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really really interesting question. I mean, you get into the thoughts though of like, oh, if you restrict some education, it kind of boils down to like some educational institutions are held to higher standards, right? If they
mhm,
have, I don't know, government funding or something like that. But a lot of these things out there don't, and therefore they don't need to meet necessary requirements. And I also think to some degree, I mean, way back in the day when I started, things like General Assembly and things were popping up because traditional education was struggling to keep up with the demands of tech. I mean also for myself, I pursued my master's degree and I quit because the teachers inside of the brick and mortar university were so out of touch with what was going on in the industry that I had to seek that information elsewhere. So I really think that at the inception, things were very needed. Things like boot camps and other education. Now, has that been taken so far advantage of? Yes, absolutely. And I always say this, I don't know how designers today find their way, sift their way through uh, all of the options and all of the content out there. Like I would be very scared to be an aspiring designer today, just purely because where do you start? Where do you even look? But yeah, I think it boils down to larger and higher institutions are held to a particular standard. Now, could Google, Amazon, the FANG companies, who we all report to
Yeah.
effectively, who all other institutions kind of follow and look to for guidelines, how they do reporting lines and organization, so many things. Could they say, these are the only ones that matter? This is the criteria of a good education. This is what we need out of tech folks. It doesn't even just have to be designers. Could they do that? Absolutely. Does it benefit them monetarily? Absolutely not. And especially now with so many kind of experienced designers in the field today, they have their pick of the litter
Yeah.
a little bit right now. So yeah, that's my 2 cents as to why there's no kind of governance in play. And I know a lot of the boot camps and stuff come from various different countries, and there's absolutely no standard of education across that vast of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
But the reason why I wanted to ask that question is because it's, as you mentioned, everyone is starting to move away from, okay, we'll use a Figma. Great. We're tied into this tool. Great. Which I'm totally against, by the way. I don't like to be tied into anything. But the reason why I wanted to go down that approach is, do you think, and let me mention, I'm not trying to gaslight boot camps. I always wanted to make sure, because I'm getting proper heat from a lot of people about my content. Oh, am I gaslighting a lot of boot camps? It's not that I'm gaslighting. I'm really trying to go down the approach of, are we teaching these designers that come into the field, the strategic element, and not the fact of methodologies and how to make things look pretty and how to use auto layout. What's your take? Do you think we're doing a good job in teaching people this right now?
I think it's hit and miss. I know sure as heck I did not learn it. I didn't learn it. I went to a very expensive university 10 plus years ago. It's very rare that I see I also say boot camps as well. There's certificates, there's, the kind of lower level things, but the big meaty boot camps, academies, whatever they are, like, yeah, I would say more often than not, they don't teach that side. It hasn't been historically kind of part of the education. All the designers that I know who are good at strategy did not learn it in education. They learned it on the job and as a necessity to their role. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, but I will say there are some.
Mhm.
There absolutely are boot camps and certificates and things who absolutely have that side. But right now, I think for the most part, it's taught supplementary. Like if you look at Maven, a lot of product strategy kind of topics. Understand UX metrics, understand business metrics. I think UXL has understanding product metrics, like little kind of bits and pieces kind of all over the place. So you'd really have to know as a designer, wherever you are in your career, starting out or in the middle, that that's important because nobody's like, you must do this. You're not going through a curriculum where you're like, this is part of the whole experience. But just as with most things, and I don't think this is exclusive to tech, I think education just has a tremendous amount of gaps. Like, we don't have a strategy for education, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, nobody's sitting there like, oh, they're not doing the research. They're not
Yeah.
doing they're not doing the UX research on what's needed for education. So nobody's out there in a university going into big tech companies being like, what's a part of your role? And then building a case for that. I think what was closest maybe back in like 2015 is Google did that with SCAD, which is a school in Georgia. There was like a partnership with a big tech company and a huge educational thing. But even then, that's the one that I quit because it had significant gaps. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is to kind of fix that. The information is out there, but once again, like you have to know and have the guidance to find out one that's important to your role and can actually be a game changer for you. And then two, find somebody who's teaching it right in the right way where you can learn it. And three, actually learn it and use it. But I think, yeah, bar none, 90% of the time that's just happening in the job. Because there's a light bulb effect, right? If you're a designer and you're like, oh man, I was just saying this, I don't know where. I think it was in a live. Where I was like, I have this client, doesn't even matter. I'm freelance, just mom and pops, doesn't even matter. But if all I can say is, the dominance of this element is going to overtake it, and the visual hierarchy is, the F kind of visual track. Am I speaking another language? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
like I absolutely am, right? But the second, even if somebody who knows nothing about tech, and you're like, if we do this, you will not get more clicks on the thing that you want to get more clicks on. Everybody cares about that. from huge big fang tech companies to mom and pop shops all the way across the board. But it's that light bulb effect. It's like, actually, if I just start communicate, yes, the thing I did absolutely incorporates visual hierarchy and dominance and the F reading pattern, all these other things. Doesn't matter. I don't need to say any of that. What I need to say to convince them, to make them hear me, is that the thing that they want will happen more likely if we either do or don't do the thing,
Miranda, the reason why I started with this whole thing about education is because we never really had a conversation on our podcast, like in depth about yourself. Obviously, you've talked about your history and everything and how you came up. And I wanted to, obviously you have your AMAs, which I suggest go in there likely because she does rip you apart, especially if you make computers or do something in that.
If you build computers and you can't back it up.
Yeah. If you build computers and can't back it up, don't go to it, please. You're going to get ripped to shits. But yeah, I wanted to dive on a bit about yourself on some personal details because, I've never really delved into it. So I wanted to get into before I ask you, well, actually, yeah. Give me a bit about your history on how you really came into design, because you just mentioned also that you started a master's and you quit it, and I've never asked you why. You want to?
Oh man, all this knowledge and experience just came to me overnight.
Yeah, it's just literally
I tapped my heels together and and there I was.
Where do you want to start?
Oh man, origin story. Yeah, origin story for design for sure. So for me, my origin story is MySpace. A 12, 13-year-old little girl on dial-up internet out in the woods because I grew up in a very small town. Yep.
Wait, hold on.
Stick with me.
Teen MySpace. I am now starting to know your real age now. Yeah, because I can put it together.
Oh yeah, because when we're getting like internet stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Guesses in the comments. Guesses my age in the comments.
Yes.
Be nice.
If you guess the right age, I'll make
win a prize.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah. So 12, 13, MySpace. And at that time, MySpace was absolute wild, wild west. You could do whatever you wanted, any background you wanted. You could make your own cursors. You could do all this other stuff. And me being out in the woods, a lot of time on my hands, figured out how to code inline CSS. And I had the coolest looking profile you could ever dream of. And very quickly, all of my friends also wanted cool profiles. So they'd be at school and be like, "Oh, Miranda, can you help me get a camouflage background? I really want camo." And then my other friend would want like a flame cursor, that followed you as an auto music that played, when it went to your profile. It really was the Wild West. Yeah, easy inline CSS. It wasn't hard to pick up, but I couldn't even tell you how I learned it. But I learned it. And so fast forward, moved to Colorado for a little bit, and they had an InDesign program. That was class, whatever. I took it.
Yeah.
My mind was blown. I was like, this is so cool. Like art, digital, love computers kind of have, but then the art side, I'm not an artist in traditional sense, can't draw, can't write, paint, anything like that. So that kind of just, light bulb in my head. I was like, this is really neat. And then fast forward, I went and finished my high school, and I was like, oh my God, university, what do I do? Because that's just in America. There's no other choice. You just you just go to university. But there's an art institute in Portland there. And I was really struggling. I was like, do I go graphic design or do I go web design? Graphic design, web design. But they had just come out with a new program, web design. When I talked to the counselor, they're like, it's about 50% visual, 50% deep coding. And I was like, I know how to code CSS. I've already got my foot in the door. So anyways, yeah, kind of. And then I went up that track, and that's my origin story of actually getting interested in the triggering moments of getting into digital design.
Okay. And so you went from digital design. So let me take two stabs at this. So you went into front end development. So you because we've spoken about this, you were a front end developer, or you do know that side of it
I
as
started,
well.
yeah. So my actual bachelor's of science is in computer science. So I started out, yeah, real big smarts up here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I started out as a developer, and that's just where the jobs are. That's where the jobs have always been, the better
Hmm.
paying jobs. Yeah, I started genuinely about 3 months into my education. I started out doing unpaid internships, coding front end, and started to get a little bit more into back end. So I would say for the first, like all the way through my education, I was doing mostly development. I'm still taking my design courses, still knowing all of that stuff. Had some awesome professors, by the way. And then I finally got to the point where I hated development, like with a fiery, fiery passion. And it was so hard and not for me. And Python, oh my God, don't even want to talk
Lord,
about it.
oh, Lord.
So then, yeah, then made the transition over to design by way of freelancing, because obviously I did not have any experience in actual work and doing it.
So you never took a full-time job of coding, or like you were never hired as a developer in any of your career sense?
Yes, I was. So I would say I probably did 2 unpaid internships and then I started to get paid. And then I worked full time. No, full time for an agency, and a couple different startups as well. And for a while, I had a blended role. It was called like an interactive designer, or
Yeah.
um, I don't know what my other
UI
titles were,
developer,
but yeah, UI
UI
developer, yeah, those
developer.
kind of
Yeah.
things. So yeah, I had some blended roles there for a little while once I like established a little bit more of my design and development skills. But yeah, I was paid for a full-time design developer for a bit.
What would you say is the hardest learning things you learned? Because you just said you got sick of development.
Mm.
And it'll be interesting to know why you got sick of development. But what would you say was the hardest thing you learned in being a developer, or actually doing the development job as well?
Hardest thing for me, I think, yeah, unquestionably, like the amount of time I actually estimated for the task was not the amount of time that the task took for a novice like me. So I was spending my evenings, weekends, nights into the late hours trying to learn on forums, trying to figure out stuff. Like coding
Hmm.
just never clicked to me the same way that kind of visual design did. So it was a real struggle. Luckily, I had a lot of development friends who could help me at that time.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest part for me, but also the kind of like a moment is that I would receive these designs, and at that time it was just very much a situation where they shipped over the wall. I would just be handed this package of designs, probably from Photoshop, so it was just like a lot of visuals, and I disagreed with them massively. But I was not involved in the process ever. And so I just had to deliver this thing. It just wasn't a part of our way of working. And I'm rage coding. I'm like, this is stupid and dumb and it's gonna be bad.
I love that you just do that when you
I
explaining
gotta
that.
get this work done. I want to get paid, but I don't agree with this. Yeah,
Oh God.
100%. So, yeah, and I vividly remember the last website that I knew I was going to develop. It was well, it used this like lime green combined with another green hue that was just awful with like this muddy gray and
God.
sharp buttons and like all like it's seared into my I knew in that moment I'm like I'm never doing this again. um so yeah, so that was the transition moment for me. I'm like, okay, I now want to be I don't know why. I guess because I didn't have any experience in the field. I don't know why I didn't just look for jobs that actually included their developers in the process. I think at that moment I took it as this is just what it is to be a developer, and this
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I know. And from that moment, so you can every developer I've ever worked with can
Hmm.
attest that I have never ever done that to them. And so I've made it my like career's mission to like as I work with developers, they're always included in the process. They always understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. They have like time to contribute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
I had the same learning curve, and I've done
Yeah.
exactly the same. Exactly the same. I got fed up with development because, well, no, actually, I was that kind of hybrid, or what they used to call ninjas back in the day.
Yes, ninjas. I've talked about this so much. Unicorns,
Unicorn
ninjas.
ninjas. I chose the ninja side. I didn't want to go
Okay.
down the
I was
unicorn.
a unicorn.
Oh, okay, so there you go. I mean, yeah, I think with being a ninja, you do have that kind of like design aesthetic knowledge as well as like coding. And, I think the reason why I went down the ninja route was the fact of that clash between development and design,
Mm-hmm.
how they clash so much. And I wanted to speak their language in order to get really good buy-in in my career to really push the design boundaries. And I think that's what really helped me. And again, I think I took a lot of the learnings of being a developer into my career as being a designer by building the focus around handoff, collaboration,
Yes.
ideation, technical capacity, technical understanding tech debt. And that's really evolved me to where I went in my
Mm.
career. And I'm glad that you did exactly the same because you understand the pain,
Oh, yeah.
what developers go through. And then you being a designer, you just don't want that to happen to somebody
You don't,
else.
yeah, you don't want to cause that same pain, but you don't want to push
Mhm.
them.
No, no, yeah, exactly.
Or it's has for you, I don't know about you, if it's for you, it's really come in handy because if especially if you're like, oh, you're the designer, here's a developer you're going to be working on, they come to you and they're like, this is impossible. You're like, but my friend, I know that it is.
Yes. Yes. God.
Let me show you CSS3.
Yes. I have caught out many developers and
Yeah.
like where they have come into a meeting and they have said, no, this is impossible. And I have said, no, yes, it is. And if you change the CSS and you make this into certain modules and their eyes are like, oh my God, we cannot pull the wool over this dude's eyes.
Love that. Yes, exactly.
It, it was so funny when I
Oh, he's
caught.
an inside man.
Yeah, he's an insider. Oh no, he's gonna expose us. And I took them all to the side and I said to them like, hey, look, I just know development. Don't get me wrong, but I wish that there's a better relationship so that we can work together. It's not that I want to
Yeah, let's
expose you.
like find the right
Yeah,
compromise, right?
let's
Yeah.
find the right compromise. And I think it built that respect for my experience of like, hey, this dude knows what we're talking about, and we can tell him what is going to be technically capable and what's not going to be technically capable. And I think, yeah, it
We can have a
really,
real conversation about it versus just like I don't know,
yeah,
because yeah, I tell designers to this day because I think there's still a question. Oh, designers need to know development to be, to get jobs and stuff like that? And obviously the hard answer is no,
mhm.
but it is incredibly valuable to have like a foundational understanding. One, to push back on devs who are trying to BS you.
Yeah,
And two, just to, like literally the same way you kind of need to understand product metrics and where you wish that your product person understood design a little bit and understood it. If you have that, you have like such a fundamental understanding, it just makes everything so much better when you
yeah.
speak a little bit of each other's language.
Jesus Christ, you know what? I have to admit, man, being a UX designer, you got to be like James Bond. You got to speak so many languages. You got to be able to create a
We like
workshop together.
trilingual.
Yeah, you got to be like, I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, wow. It just came naturally that, when I was doing my career, I didn't see it at the time. It just came naturally that I had to wear many masks
Mm,
in the company, and change my language ability to each of the different people that I was speaking to, as well as the ability to speak, the ability to have confidence in selling your designs, the ability to bring people into a workshop and get them to collaborate, the ability to understand branding and semantic differential and tone of voice and put that into it's like,
oh my
if
gosh.
if you really think about it, we are like multifaceted in so many different skills in order
Yeah.
for our
A little
career
bit
to
of a jack
be,
of all trades.
yeah, it is. It's literally
Yeah.
a jack of all trades. So,
Yeah.
and
I was just gonna say, like, totally agree with you. And I think where a lot of designers get frustrated isn't there's it's not reciprocal a lot of the time. So
mhm,
where we have to put in all their hats, all this understanding to figure out the product side and the engineering side a little bit, it's like, hey, I'm trying to understand you, and so we can work better together. But that's not always reciprocal, and I think that's where yeah, we run into a lot of frustration because the best PMs unquestionably understand the fundamentals of design, know how to
yeah.
talk about user experience and what people are experiencing with their products, and so do engineers. And that's like the prima type of working environment when you can have all of that, a little bit of shared understanding. But I think what we experience a lot isn't necessarily a two-way street.
Okay, here we go. We're sidetracking. I wanna delve into this. I had a plan that I was gonna ask her something, but I wanted to
Throw it out the window.
I wanted to sidetrack on something. We've been speaking a lot about this, that the career path has changed so much and everything. And do you think now we've talked about design being a strategic partner, as part of the product, or the imaginary table where product people sit and they speak all day and make decisions what's going on. Do you think that now is the time that businesses start to invest in a product manager purely in user experience? And I've asked you this question, I think, in the past, like, why is UX not part of the product team? Why is UX, not a valuable asset in a business? Do you think that we should now start thinking, or businesses should start thinking now, that you have a product manager who is just solely focused on experience across the whole horizontal of a company?
And we're really going to come from kind of what organizationally we're set up like in my current company, which product folks do sit within product teams. Like they have a dedicated, and then we have customer facing PMs that are very like they focus on our B2C kind of product. And then we have completely technical PMs. They wouldn't even know what to do with like a pixel or talk about when we talk about users. And I think especially the technical ones are super necessary. But even again, fundamental usability, even when you're talking about just API integration and having that B2B kind of system be usable for folks, super important. But is it talked about? Is there a UX person there? Is there service design? Is that a requirement from that PM? No, absolutely not. It's like, they're like, this is a complicated thing. So if it's painful, that's just part of it. And we're like on the side, we see what's happening. We're like, no, it doesn't have to be, but I don't have capacity to look at that. So I'm just ignore it. But then, yeah, I mean, and then in my organization, we have a lot of, I literally would call them like user PMs. We call them like we call ours the traveler side and the partner side, but they are solely focused and dedicated to our travelers. And some of them are great in understanding our users and really taking user needs and really driving that kind of user-centric approach. And then others are not. Others are more business and ROI and turnover and really kind of pushing. And so, yeah, that's how you get things like some dark patterns or some things in the product that have just lived there or it's legacy or whatever. Now it's dead to everybody. In terms of, do I see more of the adoption of that, like that user-centric kind of PM? I don't know. I think it's really hard because I think you need a user-centric PM if you've always and only treated design as a service.
Okay.
If you've treated your design discipline in your organization as just a service to serve and execute, then yeah, you need somebody who's a little bit more right of mind, who's, advocating for the user to make sure you're not, hurting business metrics at the end of the day, because it all links up. But if you actually have product folks who care about metrics, who care and deeply understand the business and kind of the things that are going on, paired with strategic supporting roles, which are designers and writers and researchers and engineers, you don't really need that PM to have a deep understanding of user experience because they have that partner to do that for them. Now, I think we will see some companies try to cut the in-between, which is like, well, a lot of the visual stuff can be done with these AI tools now or in the near future. So then the skill set of the PMs goes up and up and up. But let me tell you right now, at least in large organizations, the amount of time that these PMs have to dedicate to tracking, analytics, reporting, writing reports, writing one-pagers, running the team, running a backlog, doing all these different things. I'd be very interested on a PM's take of this, because to me, it seems like they also I wouldn't say they wear a lot of hats, but they have a lot of work.
Yes.
And they're responsible, and at the end of the day, they got to report up, and that's an extensive amount of tasks to do. Maybe AI will make that even easier. I don't know. But I have a hard time seeing somebody able to like do both and do them both well. I think it would be that then we're getting back into the unicorn effect a little bit, in my opinion.
Well, before we go back onto the track, I was going to ask you. I've also been actually at fault about this. I've also said a lot on the podcast about product managers, which again, I've experienced as bad product managers. But you got to give some sympathy to them. Actually, as you just mentioned, they're dealing with a lot of stuff, and I think what I've seen with the frustration of designers is that we care a lot about that design aspect, that user experience, that end result. And you just hit the nail on the head. They are dealing with so much that you can't put your attention on something that's so important to somebody when you're dealing with like 50 things at once. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's this whole thing. I've had this conversation actually with my wife about that. I said to her, you can only put your level of energy in certain amount of glasses of your cup of water in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And if you think about it as being a mother, you're dividing your attention and energy to certain things, and you don't have full energy to say, okay, I'm going to put my full cup of water into this thing. And I think that's what happens with product managers. They can't put their full attention and energy into something that's so important to us when they're dealing with 50 things at once. Now,
Yeah,
I
they
can
have
see
a
you want to
team to
answer.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a team to run. They have a track to run. They have a department to run. Whatever the different kind of product tiering levels are. They have squads, whatever the names are in other companies. And then on top of that, because like I said, the visual side of design is going to be handled a lot by prompting and all these other things. It's like, cool, a PM could go in there. But you know what a PM can't do is have the fundamental visual design education, user experience education, know what is a good pattern versus a not a good pattern under design systems and all these other things, to know that when that prompt comes back to say good
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
bad, because yes, you get a thing, everybody's going to get a thing, and it's probably going to be quite good.
Hmm.
But can you critically evaluate it through a lens of expertise in what is going to bring value to the user and going to meet the business goals?
Yeah.
That is a skill set that is still a very, very relevant and not an overnight skill set. And
Yeah.
once again, like you said, where do you want that PM kind of placing their cup for the day, their water for the day? And it just seems like a lot. PMs do a lot, and they do have a lot of
Yes.
heavy lifting, reporting up. Even because a PM even in the agency and freelance world, a lot of times it means client management. Oh my God,
Yes.
that's huge.
Yeah.
And also protecting your team from what the client demands. And in big tech, it's protecting your team from what the leadership wants, right?
Hmm.
It's all the same thing in different words. Yeah, so I highly respect them, and I respect the PMs who say, "Hey, we have these goals. You are my, engineer, you're my partner, UX, you're my partner. Let's figure out how to go do these things, but you have the expertise in these things. Whatever that expertise output actually looks like, you are all in it for the same outcome either way."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't see um PMs being able to take on that. That's just asking too much of a single human.
Yeah. No, agreed. Agreed. And I think, yeah, they just get a lot of slack, and I will hold up my hands. I have said on many different episodes with different guests, I have kind of gaslighted them due to the fact that I think it just came from experience. So I do apologize if I have caused some offense.
Look, there's good designers and bad designers. There's
Yeah.
good PMs and there's bad PMs. I know we've talked about bad designers. I know we've talked about bad PMs. It's all
Hmm.
around. There's not a universal stamp that says one is always good over
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah.
There's both. Trust me.
Actually, Actually, I've got some questions I wanted to ask you. Now that we're backtracking on knowing a bit more about,
We're getting
we're
back
back.
on the road.
We're getting back to Miranda. I want to ask you some. We're gonna play a game, actually. Me and you.
Ooh,
Yeah, we're gonna play a game. Yeah. I don't know if you've played this. It's called Gel or Free. Yeah. Do you know
okay.
this?
No,
So
I have
I'm
no
gonna
idea.
ask you a set of questions, and you can answer jail or home or free. Meaning that
Okay.
it's a good thing. So if something's really bad, straight to jail. If something is good, free. You ready?
Okay. I'm so ready. I don't know what they're gonna be.
It's going to be a mixture. It's going to be a mixture of different stuff. And I'm just going
Nas,
to...
straight to jail.
yeah, like that bad gel. If you're going to do this, gel. This is okay. First one. Let's hit the first 10. Okay. A designer creates 15 different versions of the same button component instead of using variants. You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick.
Oh, jail. Yeah, absolute jail.
Someone shares Figma access with the entire company, including non-designers.
Jail.
A designer uses auto layout for every single element, even simple static graphic.
In the cave. Past jail. In the cave.
The team maintains a shared component library, but never updates it when making changes.
Depends. Where are you at? You're partially in jail. You're on parole.
Okay,
you're on parole.
Yeah, you're on parole. A designer uses Comic Sans as the primary font in a B2B enterprise application mockup. Oh. You have to choose one. Okay, I gave you...
Okay, They get to say hum.
All right, a UXer presents wireframes to stakeholders without any context about user needs or business goals.
Jail. Straight to jail. Immediately.
Someone skips user research entirely because we know our users already. Ooh.
Home. I feel like that's a top-down command. It's a top-down.
Someone gives feedback like make it pop or needs more PRs during a design review.
Yeah, stay home. That's fine. You need to educate them.
A designer immediately pushes back on developer constraints without first understanding the technical limitations.
Home. They need education as well.
A designer uses Lorem Ipsum text in final designs that go into development.
Home.
Oh, God. A designer uses red text on a green background because it matches the brand colors.
Home. That's a requirement. Someone
designs a checkout flow that requires users to create an account before seeing shipping costs.
Ooh, jail. That's a personal... I feel that in my soul.
Yeah. A UX team creates detailed personas but bases them entirely on internal assumptions and no user data. Jail.
Get out of here.
A designer copies a popular app's interface exactly because it works for them. It'll work for us.
Home.
A designer refuses to iterate on their design after usability testing reveals major issues.
Jail. Refuses? Never, for any reason.
Let's keep going. Someone designs a critical error message that says, oops, something went wrong, with no explanation or next steps.
Home. They can stay home.
Oh my God.
It could be an error that you don't have any additional data to give. Could be more complex.
Okay. I'm going to go for another 10 more. A designer uses 40 different shades of blue throughout their interface because variety is the spice of life. Jail. UX researcher conducts usability tests by asking users, do you like this design? And is this confusing?
Jail, leading, bad. Get a new job.
Someone interviews 3 users, all of whom are the designer's friends, and calls it a comprehensive user research.
Fake it till you make it. Stay home.
Okay. A designer uses icons without labels because good design should be intuitive.
God, jail. Nope, jail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A UXer puts the most important call to action button at the very bottom of a 12-screen mobile phone.
Jail?
Yeah.
Fire them immediately?
Yeah. The team creates a mobile experience where users have to pinch and zoom to read body text on every single page.
Jail, for sure. Wow.
All right, I'm going to ask you 5 more. Here we go. Let me see which one is really spicy. Someone designs a search bar I love this one. Someone designs a search bar that's only 2 characters wide, but expands when the users click because it looks cleaner.
Home.
Whoa.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
can see where it works. Yep.
Okay. The designer creates a horizontal scrolling list with no visual indication that more content exists off the screen.
Jail. Ain't no one seeing that content.
The team writes error message like error 404, database connection failed at line 247 in user auth.php.
Jail. That's
Jail.
just worse than the just like something went wrong.
Oh, God. All right. Let me see what's.
System failure.
Yeah. Someone creates a password field that shows requirements only after users fail to meet them.
Jail.
Jail.
It's so common though. Oh my God.
God. Okay, I've got two more. Okay, three more to ask you. Someone writes a microcopy that says, click here for more information without specifying what the information is.
And there's no more context around it.
No more context around it.
There's too many spams doing that. That's jail. There's too much
Jail.
spam trying to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
A designer writes confirmation messages like, your thing has been successfully done to the database. Literally, your thing has successfully been done to the database.
Parole. They're on parole.
Parole. All right. And my last one. Let me see if I can find my last. Okay. The team measure UX success solely by how much stakeholders like the visual design. That's a good one for the last one. Let me repeat that. That one. Where did I find it? God. The team measures UX success solely by how much stakeholders like the visual design.
Jail. Absolute jail. Absolute jail. That's just right. It's like, oh, stakeholders love it. Great. Okay, your startup's dead in 6 months.
Yeah, but you have to sympathize because, if people don't have that kind of like way of testing or way of verifying, they do go on the feedback.
But the only measurement of success, they only validate it based off of that solely.
Okay,
measure. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
they're in jail.
Straight to jail. Okay.
I'm not saying that's not real and maybe a use case that actually happens, but you got to try other things as well. You can't just anchor in on that.
Well, I went through a lot. I asked ChatGPT to give me questions actually based on your profile. So I ran it through your profile.
Nice.
I said, give me 20 or 40 questions, I think 30 questions, where I can ask Miranda any jail or home question. And these were the things that came based on your profile. So done a check on you. And so that's... Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I think most of those, if I didn't have any sympathy or empathy, easily straight to jail. Like all of those were straight to jail.
Yeah,
like
there was
life sentence.
Like you ain't coming out. Literally,
you ain't coming out. Get comfortable. Yeah, nice.
I have seen your content and your brand and your presence everywhere, just like literally everywhere. If I go into TikTok and I'll scroll, shoot, you will come up. If I go to my Instagram or something, you will come up.
I'm there.
Obviously the team, they're constantly on that, but they're like, hey, you have grown so massively in that short time span about it. And that's why I wanted to ask you, what has been your highest moments in this last year before we wrap up?
Man, my highest moments. That's really good. Give me a sec. I think... What?
Don't say that your highest moments have been on this podcast. Yeah, you go for something else here.
Okay. Honestly, for me, like it's very fun. So, I think for me, this whole kind of content creation journey, right? I set out because I was doing one-on-one mentorship. It wasn't scalable. I wanted to reach more designers. I'm very experienced. I have a lot of stuff in my head that I wanted to share. And so I just kind of broke in. I started doing little TikToks, see how it was. And honestly, I didn't expect kind of the reception. And also I was such a small fish in a very established pool of other creators already doing it. So it's really fun to kind of like, it's such a different problem to solve. And so I've been researching things I never thought I would research about calendar systems and marketing and all this stuff. And it's just it's a means to be able to do it properly, to be able to have the reach that you want. But so why I'm saying that is because it is really fun. When I think the first podcast that you just mentioned, we were watching the numbers stack. Like that was super fun to like see how many people it was reaching and kind of breaking some records for you guys and stuff like that. Like that, it's awesome to do that. And I've, when I hit 10K on TikTok, like that's all super fun. I celebrated in Scotland and whatever. But I will say the highest absolute moments, and the reason I keep doing what I continue to do, even though I do it in my off hours, I dedicate a lot of time to it just outside of work, don't have a personal life. No, I'm just kidding. Is the little messages that I get. It's the DMs from people who say, My God, like your content has helped me so much. I got one the other day. Is like, I really genuinely felt like you wrote this article for me. I needed this so much right now. I'm feeling so stuck in my career and my job because of X, Y, and Z. And I just wanted to thank you. It's those type of, I have goosebumps right now thinking about it because like, or yeah, this really helped me through this situation, or this really made me see that I needed to find maybe a new position or talk to my manager because I have aspirations to grow. Like it's giving me more confidence. Or I love your newsletter because it challenges me. It has like, pragmatic kind of approaches and things I can take into my work daily. Like it's all those little bits and bobs that like, yeah, the numbers are cool and stuff, but the numbers wouldn't mean anything if I wasn't hitting people in that way. And I get messages like, yeah, it's practical, it's real, it's no sugarcoating, it's
Yeah.
everything I hope it is in my head. So when you get that affirmation that it's landing in that way, like that's it. That's the absolute gold for me.
Miranda, did you ever, I mean, content creation is a hard thing. It's a very, very hard thing. Did you ever like have any dark days with it where you kind of say, is my content really doing anything? Is it really worth me putting the time and effort? Is it really worth me? And I'll put it on a design question as well, like people careers. People go through those dark times. Am I really doing something? Am I really making effort? I can imagine you must have went through this during your content
Yeah,
creation.
I've had massive slumps. Like absolutely. I'm like, why am I doing what's the goal? What am I aiming to do? I'm creating for the sake of creating.
Hmm.
And it's like cool to like kind of churn stuff out, but at the end of the day you're like, yeah, like what am I doing this for? And I think it was in that moment, I will have to say I have an incredibly high discipline, but I've definitely had those days. And there's been moments, weeks where I've not posted anything. I'm just like, I genuinely don't know what's valuable. I don't know if the content is, good enough. Like, and then what am I even trying to achieve? And yeah, just really a lot of questioning myself and kind of what I'm doing with this whole journey. And I just sat there like, what's the point?
Yeah.
know, I've said a lot of stuff and, then that'll be kind of overtaken by other content that gets created. And I mean, especially like for me, it's really frustrating to see, something where I think is really valuable. I know as a really high level designer, and a hiring manager, the content that might not be as attractive to the designers, the visual designers or whatever, like, because it's not as fun. It's not the
Yeah.
cool 10 cool animations,
Yeah. Yeah.
10 cool plugins for Figma, and you see those and they get like tons and tons and tons of views and
Yeah.
interactions. People love them. Cool websites. And I'm like, this is not the stuff that's like going to actually help you in your career. And that's actually really frustrating. It's really frustrating to see how much focus that type of content gets. And it's fun. If that's like in your hobby and your downside, like that's amazing. And maybe people are on those platforms to just, have fun. And that's cool and great. But when you then see, not just myself, but other creators who create the more real content, the more like,
Hmm.
this is the nitty gritty about this job and like what it takes to be in it, maybe not get so much interaction. That's where I'm like, man, do people even want to hear this? Like, do
Hmm.
they even, do they want to turn a blind eye to this? Because yeah, it's not cute. it's
Yeah.
it's not it's not the fun, colorful visual moment of this job. It's the real like pull up your britches and get to work, like get to the real meat of it. But then I think for me, what really pulls me out of it is like for the designers who do want to know. And this was the moment I was kind of telling you, I kind of shifted the bar none, the content that gets the most attention is what to do about portfolios, what to do, 10
Yeah.
things. Here's 20 portfolios that are amazing. Portfolio, resumes, and it's like those topics are important, but there's only so much you really need to spend your focus and energy on them. And then it's like the rest. It's like, okay, once you've landed the job, what happens now?
Yeah. Yeah.
But bar none to this day. But I was like, I don't want to make that type of content. That's entry level. That's like just getting your feet, and there's already so much. But I was going down that route because I'm like, oh, this is what I see people really engage with what I really
Hmm.
like. But I'm like, but what do I like? What do I know true because I'm in it
Yeah.
to be truly valuable for designers who want to go that next step? And what's missing? What's the gap in
Hmm.
content that I'm seeing that only maybe someone they like myself can actually deliver? And that's where we go back to the management, the leadership, the strategic, the influence. So that's what drives me, is because I don't see that being at the forefront, and I believe it should be.
Hmm.
And I see, like I said, the fulfilling part is that there are designers with appetite. It may never, ever, ever hit numbers
Yeah.
like a portfolio post, but that's not for me what's important.
I love what you just mentioned, and I want to kind of like I want to dissect something from that. I want to get your take on it. You basically stated that you stuck to your guns and you stuck to what you're passionate about in order to really, sorry, gun.
Like, it took me a minute. I will say I wasn't perfect. I didn't like,
No,
you know what I mean? But like, I was like, when I'm going down this path, I'm like, it feels not right. It feels not right. And then it was really sticking to my guns. But
but
yes.
then no, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm going to delve into. I
Okay.
mean, I was actually going to say, like, what advice would you give to people based on what you've learned from your content creation, based on what you've achieved also from your content creation in this last 8 months, and also from your career? Like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what would you say to people who are in that dark pitfall of, where am I going with my career? Where am I even going with my content? Where am I even going with my life and stuff like that? And from your experience, what would you like to leave as a lasting message for people to get themselves out of that rut?
I would say, as cliche as it is, good things come to those who wait. But more importantly, good things come to those who take consistent action. So if you're in a dark time and you're like, I'm not sure what to do, I also don't think you're consuming the right content either. So for me, it took a lot of, because I was just, when I was getting into it, and even in UX, it was like, oh, I was consuming everything. Right now, it's all these tools and all these, so much noise and all these other things. Filter it out. Content that really resonates with you, and take that moment of reflection of what is actually important to me. And yeah, I wrote a little bit about this. When designers are feeling stuck, you have to take that moment to say, do I like A or do I like B? And do I like C or do I like D? You really have that moment of like, of the experience that I have, whether 2 days or 2 years. What have I found that like clicks with me and I kind of want to seek that direction, or who doesn't and maybe want to avoid that? That's your baseline. And for me, I've tried a bunch of stuff I didn't like, and that's kind of navigated me away from development towards research. And for others, it's the exact opposite. There's such a spectrum within this kind of field. You can do so many different things. If you're feeling burnt out and everything in big tech, there's freelance, there's agencies, there's consulting, and vice versa as well. If you're tired of not seeing the results of your work, go into corporate. There's so much to kind of play with. I think, especially if you're early on in your career, actually all the way through senior level, experiment. Don't just kind of stay stagnant. And I absolutely wouldn't say content creation is like, you don't need to be an influencer. I don't
Yeah.
believe that you need this personal brand at all. I do not think it's a requirement to be in the field. Can it benefit you? Absolutely. But it's not for everybody. And a lot of times if you force it, people can tell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But maybe find your middle ground, right? I had that moment of reflection. I'm like, oh, I'm talking a lot about portfolios and resumes, and yeah, I could do that stuff in my sleep. But what really motivates me, and take that time to reflect, like what really gets me excited. I was actually talking to a design manager today who's interested in growing her brand. And I was like, but what excites you? And she's like,
Hmm.
AI. Not just like all the buzzy stuff. She's like, no, I genuinely work in it. I work in it day to day, and I could talk about the systems and the infrastructure of how we're doing ML and blah, blah, blah. It was technical and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, then talk about that.
Hmm.
Don't lead into like what it seems like people are interested in. But yeah, a big thing about this noise is just to get focused. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, where do you want to be? Eliminate everything you're seeing, because back in the day, you wouldn't have this much content. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
needing to consume all of this. It's in your face all the time wherever you go. But like, get focused about what you want, what your preferences are, align your goals and aspirations. Go look at companies that maybe offer that, positions, freelance, and then make a plan, whether lightweight, heavy
Yes.
duty, and create some steps that will kind of get you into that direction in a reasonable amount of time, so you can feel a little bit of that progress. I always recommend micro steps as well, so it can feel like really rewarding. Very
Yeah.
instantly, that instant gratification of like one thing a day or whatever it may be can be super helpful. So I think that's my biggest recommendation is just like sit with yourself for a minute, eliminate the noise, focus yourself. I'm genuinely like, unfollow me, unfollow everybody else who's maybe not relevant to what you want to do,
Mhm.
and just carry on that way.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant advice. I'm left actually with no rhetorical answer to that because it's
Nothing to add.
no,
What advice would you give?
it's as you mentioned, you know, good things do come to those that wait. And I think you hit the nail on the head. What I would have said, follow your passion, don't follow the crowd, follow what you're going to be really passionate about. Because if you enjoy something if you really enjoy your work, you don't really call it work. You
Mm,
really just call it turning up
yeah.
because you're excited. You don't wake up with a Monday morning feeling. You don't feel depressed when you come back from a holiday. You enjoy what you do. And that's a very, very rare thing in in people's career. Most people don't enjoy what they do, you know. And I think this journey that I've had, and also I can imagine from you've had, it has been a painful journey to get to something where I have actually enjoyed waking up and doing. It's not been the case that I woke up in the morning and then enjoyed it. I had to go through that pain and that learning process, and it was painful. It had a lot of highs and it had a lot of lows. But it took time to get to where I wanted to get to. And even when I did, I think we spoke about this, when I aspired to becoming a manager, I found out it wasn't for me, and becoming a leader was what I was really passionate about. And it took a lot to learn, and
Yeah, but it took trying that, right? Like it took
yes,
actually doing it because otherwise it's like, oh, which direction I go? Just pick one. And
yeah,
then once you do it, you'll know if it's for you or not, and you can pivot later. Because otherwise, you'll take a different route. Well, or one, you'll stay stuck, or you'll take a different route and then always wonder maybe if that other one was for you or not. And for me, that's
exactly.
never, I'm like, let me try everything
Hmm.
and then I'll, decide.
Yeah.
I also want to say, because as you were saying that, I could see somebody sitting here watching this being like, you're telling me to just do what I'm passionate about, but like a lot of the requirements to even be in this field, maybe you're not passionate about them. Maybe it's not what
Hmm.
drives you. So I also just want to say that like it is not a linear, you just get up and you're on the mountaintop free as a
Yes,
bird, right? It is a roller coaster. Some days you might absolutely hate your life and the next one you might be flying high because it could be
yes.
the project you're working on, the team that you're working with that day, whatever it may be. I still remember the days that like I hated that I could never see the results of my product when I was working at a design agency. I was like, I don't know if my solutions are actually working, and I'm working on 3 clients at once. So like the logistics of how I was working really sucked, but the people were incredible. And I really miss those days. It's stuff like that where maybe that is flopped or is just
Yeah.
swapped on its head now or whatever it may be. But I think it's important to not kind of seek this, I don't know, epiphany moment or this kind of amazing and then everything's going to be coasting along. I think a lot of people get in this industry get bored very easily.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what makes us very good at our jobs, but it also means that it can be difficult to be in this field because you want to move, you want to pivot, you want to learn more, you want to be in spaces that allow you to do that. So I would just have this constant like evaluation. Like, have I learned everything that I can learn? And this is really important when you're in your early career. Have I learned everything I can learn from here? Yes, no. Yes, move on. Move to
Yeah.
somewhere bigger or different or whatever it may be. It's super important. And because it goes back to the thing that you were saying, it's like, yeah, just try
Yeah.
the different paths, try the different routes, and then see what sticks for the most part. And maybe it'll stick for 6 months. Maybe it'll stick for 5 years. You really can't know until you're in it.
I think the reason why I mentioned about taking your shot is, you don't get it right all the time. You're going to make mistakes. Be aware that you're going to the part of learning, and the great thing about learning, and the only way to learn is to make mistakes, is to
Hmm.
fail. Because if you keep getting everything right, then you actually have not learned anything. Learning comes from failing. And don't be scared to take the shot. Don't be scared to go for it. Don't be scared to fall on your back, because you need to get up. When you fall down, you need to get up, and you need to make sure you go again. You're never going to get it right the first time.
Yeah.
That's why I say, don't come back in your life and say, I regret not taking my shots. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for sure.
that's why I mentioned that.
And I think I've had so many designers come to me about imposter syndrome, right? And I think that's the crux of it. But I personally believe it's completely about just a perspective. If you don't think about it as like, am I gonna win or am I gonna fail? It's like, no, you're experimenting.
Yes.
You're just experimenting, and then
Yeah.
you can just see what happens. And there is no big fall or big win or anything like that. It's like, oh, I learned something, or oh, I learned to not do something, or you know what I mean? Because like it's iterative, and it's just the way we do product design. It's the exact same way you should take the approach to your career. And I think hopefully if somebody, I think, at least for me personally, that gets rid of this like idea of failure. There is no failure. Like at the end of the day, it's only failure if you don't actually take anything from it. It's only failure if you don't actually learn maybe what not to do or to do in the future. So massive.
I was going to ask you, because that is what it is. We're scientists by trade.
Yeah.
What it's just because it's got a design word, everyone thinks that it's something that we're going to create and it's going to be right. But really and truly, we're experimenting. We're scientists by trade. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're scientists. We experiment. There is no concrete, absolutely this singular thing is the most perfect ever. It could be perfect for half a second, and then in the next second it's not, because you have new data, you have new insights, you have new things. Yeah. So this kind of end all be all final design thing, that's not real.
No, it's not.
It's not even real. So the thing that you're doing, it's just like you should have questions about it. You should have parts that you're uncertain about. You should have parts that you're a little bit more certain about, like, yeah, there isn't. I think that's what stops a lot of designers, is this like need for absolute certainty, when the reality is there is no such thing.
Yes.
At all. And that's why you should be absolutely receptive to everything that comes your way as well, because you don't have the absolute truth, because there is none.
But that's the thing. More designers need to be aware of this, that, you're not going to create something that's going to be final. There's always going to be the fun of the iterative process. So
yeah,
I think
the perfect example, right? The memes, V1, final 1, final 2, final 3, final 3. It's like, that's true in client relationships, but at the same time, it's also true. And like the second it goes live, you learn something new, you move, you iterate.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It shows that Miranda's degree was the right one, but she done a Bachelor of Science. I done a Bachelor of Arts. So
oh no way, really?
Yeah, I done Bachelor of Arts. I was a digital media. I done it in digital media. So yeah.
Okay, but you also started out development? Was it just how it was titled?
So digital media touched on everything. It touched on web development, graphic design, sound production, video production, fine art. Actually, I majored in film. So
shit. Okay. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. I done a documentary for my final thesis. So
that's so cool. That's crazy, because I went to an art school, so everybody around me was like film students, photography students, all of that kind of stuff. That's so sick.
It was fun. It was funny because I'd done a documentary which the university still use today, because I have to sign it off every year, and it's basically,
what was that, back in like 1950?
You got me with that one.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't. But it's funny. It was funny because I'd done a documentary on most people in art degrees don't utilize the degrees to get a job. So is there really a reason in doing a degree in a certain art if you're not going to use your degree? And this is at the time in UK where the cost of university was in and around 15k debt when you're coming out of university, and you're not even using your degree.
To do what? To get any money? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we'll have another podcast about that when the next season of Modus
I think,
comes in, so.
I think we should. I'd be interested to grill you, because I've spent a lot of time. I have videographer friends. Lots of stuff. So that'd be really cool.
You can see where the Design Ops trailer came from. It came from good video,
a good eye, a good trained eye.
I gave it to the team and I said, just go nuts. And
That's all about knowing what good looks like.
I can't thank you enough for coming back on the podcast and having these one-on-one chats. It's been really great speaking to you. I am looking forward to when next season comes in. We don't know as of yet the date because we're currently at the moment doing a lot of stuff with the shift from Design Ops Line to the Line podcast show. But again, if any of the things we mentioned today, and I think there's been a lot of great talks from Miranda on her personal life. Also, if you can guess her age, please drop the comments down below. I would love to know if you get it right. Yeah, she's showing her youthful self.
This is me. This is what you're working with.
But it's been fun, and I am looking forward to what is coming for you in this year and all the great stuff that's coming ahead of you. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And honestly, yeah, it's been so great. I have fun every single time that we do this. And I love the feedback that I get rather than DMs or comments or whatever from other people who I think we're landing a lot on a lot of really good topics that are super relevant for folks. So huge testament to you, keeping the energy, good vibes. So looking forward to the future.
Yeah, definitely. I've got some great topics coming ahead with next season.